Welcome to the Sports Scouting Report podcast with Lee Burkeen.
3, 2, 1. We're recording. Hi, everyone. You're listening to the Sports Scouting Report with Lee Burkeen. Today, we're going to have some fun, do something a little different, change it up a little bit. This is for the parents. Today, I'm just randomly picking a district. It's District 1 in Class 5A. I'm going to go over all the teams, not too in-depth, but enough to give these teams some, the credibility they deserve, educate you a little bit more about them if you're not from that school, tell you about their strengths and weaknesses coming back. And, this is going to be in our preview magazine that's out, more in-depth in the magazine. You can go to lafootballmagazine.com to get this, but we're going to start with District 1. I want to talk about in Class 5A, District 1 in North Louisiana. This is a North Louisiana district. This is a very tough district, by the way. It has Airline. It has Byrd, Captain Shreve, much improved. Haughton, very good program. Parkway, they've had some great quarterbacks the last 10, 12 years. It's Naketa Central's a very competitive team. Very underrated talent-wise. You just go on and on and on and talk about the team. Southwood has got a lot of talent. It just doesn't always show up, publicly, because they might not go 10-0 or 9-1 or 8-2 or something like that, but they've got a lot of talent. But let's start with Airline Vikings in Bossier City, coached by Bo Meeks, the head coach. Bo will be going into his 10th year as head coach. I really like Airline. I think Airline's got the right mix of experience. They've got a veteran quarterback in Garcia, who's 6'2", about 210, can really, really gun it. I think he's a D1 quarterback, by the way. I got a chance to see Garcia at a practice 3 years ago when he was a freshman. Caught my eye then, and I was telling Bo, who's that young guy that was about 6 foot tall then, about 170, gunning it down the field just in practice. He said, that's going to be the quarterback of the future, Alex Garcia. And sure enough, he's one of the top quarterbacks in the class of 221 to me in Louisiana. I think he's a very underrated D1 player. And that's why Airline has a chance to go deep in the playoffs in District 1 out of Class 5A. Bossier City, Louisiana, Airline, the Vikings. They also have a great running back in Rovell Young, who's very powerful, deceptively fast. And they've got Jamal Osbury, who I think is going to play this year. He should be cleared from Parkway, another big-time running back / athlete. And when you look at having Garcia and Osbury and Rovell Young, all three of these guys are seniors that have D1 talent, okay? Legitimate D1 talent. Listeners, big time, I'm telling you. And then they have a very good group of seniors with a lot of experience. You got Delvin Bilbo that I'm waiting for him to explode as a receiver. He's another D1 guy. Devin Bilbo, 6'2", 185, has all the intangibles to be great. It hasn't really happened yet, but that is saying that his upside's still there. He's still there to blossom. And this is the year that you might see Devin Bilbo blossom. It's another kid I saw as a sophomore freshman at practice back in 2017. They've got a lot of talent on their offensive line. Even though they don't have a lot of D1 guys, they've got a very good offensive line. And their defense has a D1 player in Trent Patterson, a D-tackle, DN. Not your prototype 6'3" guy, but more 6'1", 260, but can really run very strong. They have Fred Manning, a linebacker that's I think can go 1AA or D1. Deverick Woods, another D-tackle, about 280. 5'11", 6 feet tall, another guy that could go 1AA. And their defensive backfield is very talented. Tracy Hudson, whose dad played in college, is a big-time, I think, a D1 senior corner or safety or nickel. And then their kicker is one of the best kickers in Louisiana, Jackson Tinkus. Not very big, 5'7", 5'8", but man, what a leg this kid has, and he's a winner. He makes the big field goals. Pressure kicker. So that's Airline Vikings. To get more information, because I can't go on and on. I can't do an hour on each team, but more information is in our preview magazine, which you can get at lafootballmagazine.com, our website. You can order there. When we come back in segment 2, we're going to talk about Benton. I didn't mention him earlier. Benton. They call them the Tigers. Benton Tigers. We'll be back. We'll talk about Benton when we come right back.
Hello, Sports Scouting Report fans. Like what you're hearing? Well, you're going to love our content at lafootballmagazine.com. This week, make sure to check out Recruit Spotlight articles on Alexandria tight end and Stanford commit Shield Taylor, Acadiana defensive end and UL commit Cameron George, Holy Cross running back and Tulane commit Jayden Hare, and finally, Archbishop Roman quarterback and Richmond commit Kyle Wickersham. Also, make sure to go to our website to order our North and South magazine editions for the upcoming 2020 season. All that and more on lafootballmagazine.com.
Welcome back. You listen to Sports Scouting Report. We're talking about District 1 in Class 5A in North Louisiana. Mostly Shreveport teams, Bossier, Naketa Central, a very competitive sleeper, underrated district with a lot of talent. I talked about Airline in segment 1. I think Airline's going to be very good. Let's talk about Benton, the Benton Tigers. You know, Benton is coached by Reynolds Moore. This will be his 8th year, quietly his 8th year. I remember meeting Reynolds Moore when he was in Alexandria starting out. He's from Mississippi, and he's been in Louisiana now almost 11, 12 years. He coached at Bolton for a little bit, did a good job there. And I really think Reynolds Moore has built this program into a winning, stable program, meaning every year his teams optimize their talent. They utilize everybody. They're strong. They're smart. They've got a lot of kids in the program, but not a lot of D1 guys, but they do have some good football players. And I think this has a chance to be one of the best defenses that Benton has had in a long time, which means they're going to be competitive in 5A with a really good defense. I really like their young quarterbacks. Caleb Cassidy, Gray Waiters. Their running game led by Asher Hall, Justin Johnson, Daryl Johnson, Evan Cole at receiver. The offensive line has a D1 player, I think, in Nathan Harden, who's 6'4", 285, very tough kid. I like this kid. He's at least a 1AA signee that could start and go to some D1 schools. Very good player for them. On defense, I like their DN, Roe Thompson, 6'3", 220, big-time player. Still has a lot of size that he could put on. Still could get up to about 240, 250. And, coming back, their kicker, R.J. Moore, is going to really be counted on to win a lot of close games because Benton, they're going to have to play Byrd. They're going to have to play Parkway. They have to play a talent Haughton, Captain Shreve, Southwood, Naketa Central. All these teams are very good. Airline. But I hope you enjoyed the Benton segment. When we come back for segment 3, I want to talk about, as they call them, C.E. Byrd. C.E. Byrd High School. They're known as Byrd High School, the Yellow Jackets. Segment 3, we'll be right back. We're going to be talking about Byrd High School.
Parents, are you looking for advice on getting your high school athlete recruited by the right college? Lee Brakeen is your answer. Lee has been doing it for over 30 years. He knows the ropes, and more importantly, he knows the people. Lee offers turnkey service from evaluation, creating highlight tapes in the correct format, and complete guidelines for effective communication with the schools. No matter the sport, girl or boy, no matter what grade your child is in, let Lee Brakeen help match your child to the right college fit. Go to our website, lafootballmagazine.com, and get connected today.
Welcome back. In segment 3, we're going to be talking about Byrd High School, which is coached by the One of the longest tenured coaches in the state of Louisiana, Mike Suggs. This is his 22nd year as head coach. Think about that, man. 22 years. I started the magazine since I've had the magazine in 97, that's been 24 years. So Mike's been at this for a long time. He's got, over 35 years in the business easily in coaching. 19 was a tough year, but they played a lot of young kids. And the reason they're going to be so good in 220 is because almost everybody's back. And that's why everybody's excited in Shreveport. Every alumnus I talk to that's a Byrd grad or a Byrd parent, they are so excited about this team. In 220, I think they'll be one of the most improved Class 5A teams in the state of Louisiana, especially in Class 5A. And in District 1, again, they're going to have some battles with Airline. They're going to have some battles with Captain Shreve and Benton and Haughton and Parkway. They're going to have battles, but the difference between this Byrd team and the last 3 or 4 or maybe 5 teams is their offense and defensive line are bigger than they've normally been, and I think they're more set to compete and go deeper in the playoffs because they're a little bigger. They're always good skilled-wise, and they have a good young quarterback. I think Logan Pons has got a chance to be a great quarterback for them. He played a lot in 19. He got, the rust off. And I think the kid's ready to blossom. He's a very athletic kid, very strong. And running back-wise, he has guys around him. He's got Vinzel Thompson at running back, 200-pound player. Elijah Bohr, tight end H-back. These are senior guys that have size. At receiver, they got Kellum Humphrey, a former quarterback that's really a good athlete. You got Paul Stevens and Jason Little and Mitchell Ramsey and Wyatt McCellum, Jamichael Davis, Ryan Todd. All these guys are running backs, receivers. They got a rotation that not a lot of people have in North Louisiana, except maybe Parkway in this district and maybe Airline. And the offensive line has got size. I mean, they're going to average. The small guy is probably one of their best linemen, Marshall Miller. He's 190. But everybody else averages about 260 to 270. Bobby Simpson, Josh Courtney, Devin Mims. These are guys that are seniors that have a lot of experience. And on the D-line, Louisiana Tech commitment Carson Bruno is one of the top linemen out of North Louisiana. He's 6'4", 290. That's not something they usually have at Byrd. A D1 big D tackle, and Carson can really run. Probably play O-line in college, but in high school he's so dominant and so needed on defense. And one of the best linebackers in all of Shreveport is Marquez Junior Brown, as they call him, Junior. Got great size, I think great instincts. I think he's a sleeper for D1. I really like the D-line. I like William Anderson, Michael Jenkins. I like Sawyer Benson. I like Jaquarius Miles. All these guys got size and experience. And their defensive backfield is, to me, the best defensive backfield in Shreveport, led by Braden Hermes, Chris Grider, and Luke Militella. These 3 guys are all seniors. They're all 3-year starters. Actually, Braden Hermes has been starting since his freshman year almost. That's very rare in Byrd's program. He can actually kick. He can do it all. I mean, he can kick, he can punt, he can be your free safety, he can play receiver, whatever you need him to be. But, again, this is one of the best defensive backfields in the state, period, I think. This is from me seeing these kids play in person the last 2 years. The key for Byrd is to stay healthy. 2 years ago, 3 years ago, they had a lot of injuries that got in the way. Last year they were young. 17 and 18, again, they had a lot of injuries. 19, very young. This year, they've got the team to go a long way. If there's a team that can go to the state championship game, it's this team for Byrd. I mean, I've seen maybe 3 teams from Byrd that could go to the state championship game in 30 years. This is one of those 3 teams. We're going to go ahead and take a break, and when we come back, let's talk about the Captain Shreve Gators. What a job they're doing at Captain Shreve. Man, this program has really turned around in the last 3 to 4 years. We'll be right back.
Hello, Sports Scouting Report fans. Like what you're hearing? Well, you're going to love our content at LAFootballMagazine.com. This week, make sure to check out Recruit Spotlight articles on Alexandria tight end and Stanford commit Shield Taylor, Acadiana defensive end and UL commit Cameron George, Holy Cross running back and Tulane commit Jayden Hare, and finally, Archbishop Roman quarterback and Richmond commit Kyle Wickersham. Also, make sure to go to our website to order our North and South magazine editions for the upcoming 2020 season. All that and more on LAFootballMagazine.com.
Welcome back. We're talking District 1 in Class 5A, North Louisiana, mostly Shreveport, Bossier, and Naketa Central teams. One of the most underrated Class 5A districts in the state. I know this from going to games the last 15 years. Almost 20 years overall, but the last 15 years I've been going to Shreveport a lot and Bossier City, seeing a lot of these teams play over and over and over. We've talked about Airline, the Vikings. We've talked about Byrd, how they're both going to be contenders to go deep in the playoffs. Another team that's a sleeper going into 220 is Captain Shreve. This is one of the most improved Class 5A programs in the state based on the last 5 years and where they were for the prior 10 years. I mean, the Gators, they were having trouble winning 2 or 3 games not too long ago. And then, current head coach going in his 6th year, Bryant Sepaldo is one of the best. I hope I didn't butcher your name, Coach. But one of the best young coaches in the city of Shreveport. In 2019, they went 9-3 and lost to West Monroe. I mean, they had a great team last year, and they got another great team this year. The key is replacing a lot of talent on offense, but they're not hurting on numbers. Attitude's at an all-time high. The fan base is incredible. They've got the turf field now at Lee Hedges Stadium. And they're going to rely on their new quarterback, Ashton Martin, who I think is going to have a chance to be a great athlete for them. And Darius Grant was really good for them for 3 years, who graduated. They're going to look to get more out of Semtavius Smith, who's got a lot of talent at running back, and they got to replace Ladarian Ferson, who was really good for him for 3 years. I like Kendrick Law a lot. I mean, I know Kendrick Law is ranked high. Look, I can back it. He's every bit of his ranking. And some of these guys are not as highly ranked as maybe they should be from the internet, some of these sites, but Kendrick Law is the real deal. His dad's a coach. His dad coached at Booker T. Washington for a long time. But Kendrick Law can do so much for this team on special teams, running back. He could be a receiver. He could be DB. He can do it all. He's one of the best players in Shreveport, regardless of classes. He's a Class 222 kid. I like the defense for Captain Shreve. That's why I think they have a chance to be as good as 19, even though they lost a lot of offense. But, when you have size returning on defense like Kelby Givens and Percy Moreau, the defensive end, Cameron Williams, linebacker, Jeremy Soule, Logan Anderson, Cavion Powell, Xavion Mandigo, Alex R., is probably one of the best kickers in the city that nobody knows about. I like the talent. And then you got a very good offensive lineman, Benjamin DeLoach, John Marquette, real good young offensive tackle. One of the best sleeper tight ends in the city that plays receiver, actually, Cameron Dow, Jordan Welch, and TJ Lee at receiver. There's a lot of talent, man. It's just a matter of the new guys stepping up and just taking the place of the other guys that were there for 3 years. They have the numbers. They have the coaches. They have the fans. So, Captain Shreve is the sleeper in this district. Everybody's picking probably Airline or Byrd or Parkway, but, don't sleep on Captain Shreve. They've won as many games as anybody the last 5 years in this district. And, they've really just come a long way. I'm really happy for the fans and the alumni at Captain Shreve. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk about another great program in District 1, Class 5A, Haughton, the Buccaneers. We'll be right back.
Parents, are you looking for advice on getting your high school athlete recruited by the right college? Lee Brakeen is your answer. Lee has been doing it for over 30 years. He knows the ropes, and more importantly, he knows the people. Lee offers turnkey service from evaluation, creating highlight tapes in the correct format, and complete guidelines for effective communication with the schools. No matter the sport, girl or boy, no matter what grade your child is in, let Lee Burkeen help match your child to the right college fit. Go to our website, lafootballmagazine.com, and get connected today.
Welcome back. We're going to talk about District 1, Class 5A, Haughton, the Buccaneers, led by Jason Brewerton, one of the great young coaches in the state, did a great job taking over. This will be 5 years. It's really hard to believe it's already 5 years for him as head coach. You know, we think of Haughton, we think of Dak Prescott. We think of a lot of good baseball players that have come out of there. They've had some good linemen. This is a program that's just tough, man. These kids are tough. And they always have a chip on their shoulder, and they're never getting probably the recognition that Parkway gets, or maybe Airline or Byrd. And you can see it when they play, man. They just play with an extra drive to them. And they're another sleeper team. They're another team that could go deep in the playoffs, depending on who they got to face in the first round. But you know, when I look at Haughton, you know, they went 11-3 in 2019. That's a quiet 11-3. Outside of that, you know, outside of Shreveport, in Bossier City and Haughton, not a lot of people realize that, but they were an 11-3 program. They went to the semifinals. They lost in the semis. They were a game away from the Superdome. And that would probably shock some people because this same district is Byrd and Airline and Parkway, right? But they have a lot of talent to replace. They lost C.J. McWilliams, a great player, and Kaylon Chappell, a great DN that signed with McNeese. And they lost Matthew Witten and Tristan Sweeney, but they got a lot of talent back. I really like Peyton Stovall at quarterback. I think he's a heck of an athlete. He's one of the best athletes in the state. Another baseball guy, too. I think the receiver Elijah Roshan will do a great job taking over for Sweeney at receiver. The offensive line, Peyton Bates is one of the best O-linemen in the city, in the metro area, Shreveport, Bossier. You know, and then Jake St. Andre is a great linebacker. I think he's a D1 player. And then you got, you know, Sean Hardison and Dylan Turner, one of the best linebacking cores in the state, by the way. And the secondary has a lot of talent to replace, but they're led by one of the best DBs in the city of Shreveport, Bossier, that area, Logan Wilkerson, who I think is a big-time football player. He probably won't get the accolades as being a D1 guy, but Logan Wilkerson's the kind of guy that, regardless of where he goes, he'll be remembered as a great safety, just a great tackler for Haughton. What do I think Haughton could do this year, the Buccaneers? I think they could win the district. I mean, look, this is one of Byrd's best teams in 10 years, maybe 15 years. This is one of Airline's best teams in maybe 7, 8 years. This is a Haughton team that could go back deep. I mean, this is a tough district. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk about the sleeper in the district out of Natchitoches, Louisiana, Naketa Central, the Chiefs. We'll be right back.
Hello, Sports Scouting Report fans. Like what you're hearing? Well, you're going to love our content at lafootballmagazine.com. This week, make sure to check out Recruit Spotlight articles on Alexandria tight end and Stanford commit Shield Taylor, Acadiana defensive end and UL commit Cameron George, Holy Cross running back and Tulane commit Jayden Hare, and finally, Archbishop Roman quarterback and Richmond commit Kyle Wickersham. Also, make sure to go to our website to order our North and South magazine editions for the upcoming 2020 season. All that and more on LAFootballMagazine.com.
Welcome back. We're talking about District 1, Class 5A, North Louisiana, mostly Shreveport Bossier teams. And the next team we're talking about is the non-Shreveport Bossier team, and that's Naketa Central in Natchitoches, Louisiana, home of Northwestern State Demons, the college football team. It's also home of St. Mary's High School. But, in class, the District 1, Class 5A, Naketa Central, to me, is one of the biggest sleeper programs in the state. When I look at this team on film every year, man, they look the part. They've got size. They've got skill guys. They've got everything. They just got to put it together. And I think the mindset is starting to change a little bit with the last couple of coaches that really put a lot of work in. And then the new head coach, James Wilkerson, who's got a lot of experience from his days at Byrd and some other schools, I think he's walking into a great job at the right time. James Wilkerson is the right man for the job. This will be his first year. He inherits a team that went 3-7 last year. They didn't make the playoffs, but they returned a lot of talent. They lost a lot of talent. But when you look at the talent coming up at Natchez Central, they dress over 80 to 100 players. They have guys, their OD line, they average 260, 270 across. They've got the dudes, right? And then they've got the skill guys. And I think they have one of the biggest sleepers in the state at DN, Jayden Hare, who's a basketball player, 6'5", 215, can run. Read more about him in our magazine. I hate to say that, but yeah, if you want to get more on all these kids I'm talking about, go to lafootballmagazine.com. I know it sounds like a commercial, but I'm truly saying this. If somebody buys a magazine, they'll tell you we put a lot of stuff in the magazine. So get the preview issue. But I really like the defense that Natchez Central is going to have while their offense is young. They're going to have a new quarterback. They're going to have a lot of new running backs, a brand new O-line, but they've got a lot of talent. And when you have a guy like Jayden Hare and you got a guy by the name of Fermaine Walker at DN that runs a 4.6 at 6'3", 210, and you've got a D-tackle named Juan Nanez who's 6'1", 255, benches almost 400 pounds, you've got a really solid nucleus to upset some of these big-name teams in the district. So do not sleep on Naketa Central this year and the young coach James Wilkerson. They could be the team that you go, wow, they won this game or they won that game. How did they do that? Well, they've got talent, and they got a great young coach now. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk about the Parkway Panthers. We're going to go ahead and take a break. We'll be right back.
Parents, are you looking for advice on getting your high school athlete recruited by the right college? Lee Brakeen is your answer. Lee has been doing it for over 30 years. He knows the ropes, and more importantly, he knows the people. Lee offers turnkey service from evaluation, creating highlight tapes in the correct format, and complete guidelines for effective communication with the schools. No matter the sport, girl or boy, no matter what grade your child is in, let Lee Brakeen help match your child to the right college fit. Go to our website, lafootballmagazine.com, and get connected today.
Welcome back. I want to talk about the Parkway Panthers. Parkway's really done a great job the last 10, 15 years. Started with David Feaster. You had Brandon Harris that went to LSU, was a great quarterback in high school. You had Keandre Woodtee, that was a great quarterback. Justin Rogers. You've got another great quarterback this year, and he's not a tall kid, but Elijah Harper's got a cannon. And if you want a guy that can put up big numbers and get the ball to great receivers, which they have, man, Parkway's the same old song. They got the receivers, they got the coaching, and they got players on defense that can run. The Panthers missed the playoffs in 19 with a 4-6 record. They had a lot of injuries. And right now, they got a lot of kids to replace, but they just always keep bringing up new talent. Keep an eye on Elijah Harper, the young quarterback, and keep an eye on young receiver Jalen Reed, Quincy Jones, Price Johnson, Jaden Hardy, running back Ron Richwood. These guys can play. They're speed guys. They all run 4.5. And on defense, they've got some guys that are going to be prospects. They got 4 or 5 prospects, seniors on defense, led by Ty Shelton, Connor Norcross and Barrett Newman and Raymond Johnson, a linebacker, I think is one of the best in the city, in Bossier City. And then Trenton DeFato, one of the best D tackles in Shreveport-Bossier. The defensive backfield, I mean, Noah Wolf and Brady Norcross and Darius Patterson, these guys can play, man. And Tedros Nealams, I mean, they've got speed. They're probably the most athletic team in the district outside of Airline and Byrd. And I don't know if I would put them under those teams as far as athletes. Probably a little younger in the trenches than maybe Byrd and Airline. Haughton, like I said, might have one of the best all-around teams up there with Byrd. Benton, well coached. Parkway's got a chance to make a run. Again, it sounds like the same old song, right? But that's what I'm talking about this district. District 1, Class 5A, is just incredibly tough. I mean, if I'm a coach, I'm cringing. I mean, every team is fast. Every team has size. Every team has a good quarterback, just about. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to end our podcast with one more team that I really think is doing a good job of getting some coaches in, and they've really done a good job trying to get this program back to the old days. They had Stan Humphries once upon a time, the old San Diego Chargers in the Super Bowl. They've had a lot of great players come out of Southwood that were great quarterbacks and great football players. And Southwood has talent. They just got to start believing again and just get the mindset right as a team, and they're close in a tough district. We're going to talk about them. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk about the Southwood Cowboys. We'll be right back.
Hello, Sports Scouting Report fans. Like what you're hearing? Well, you're going to love our content at LAFootballMagazine.com. This week, make sure to check out Recruit Spotlight articles on Alexandria tight end and Stanford commit Shield Taylor, Acadiana defensive end and UL commit Cameron George, Holy Cross running back and Tulane commit Jayden Hare, and finally, Archbishop Rummel quarterback and Richmond commit Kyle Wickersham. Also, make sure to go to our website to order our North and South magazine editions for the upcoming 2020 season. All that and more on LAFootballMagazine.com.
Welcome back. You're listening to Lee King, the Sports Scouting Report. Be sure to go to LAFootballMagazine.com to get your football preview issue for the North copy and the South. If you're not familiar with our magazines, we do 2 issues. The covers are different, and there's several pages different in each one the recruiting's different. So we do a first-team offense, defense that are different in the South based on those kids from that part of the state. In the North, an all-Louisiana team that's different than what's in the South. And there's a story in each one. The North, we have a story on Evangel Christian, quarterbacks going back to 91 with Josh Booty. And the South, we got a kind of a combo story that Jace did, and I helped research with Newman and St. Thomas More High School based on quarterbacks. Again, top quarterbacks to come out since 92. Jamie Howard, St. Thomas More, 91. Peyton Manning, as we all know, from Newman High School. But again, go to LAFootballMagazine.com to get your preview issue. And our last team to talk about in District 1, Class 5A, is Southwood. This is a team that has really fought hard to try and win games in an incredibly difficult district. I mean, when Southwood has to line up against Parkway, Byrd, Haughton, Benton, Airline, Captain Shreve, even Naketa Central, I mean, you're trying to get a win in this district. And they have a new coach who I know. Dean Smith comes over from the Monroe area. Dean did a great job at Wassman High School. He's a great guy. I think he's really good for this job. He's got a lot of experience. He's good with working with kids. He's good with building programs from the ground up. I like Southwood's talent. I just think they need to they need a win early. They need a win with some confidence. But I like the offense being built around Damian Beckham. He's an athlete. Probably would play another position at another school, but they need him at quarterback. He's very, very fast. He's a dual guy. He can throw the ball. He's got an arm for a guy that's only about 5'8", 155. But don't let that fool you. He's very tough. And they've got another guy at running back, Corinthian Walters, who can really fly. And then they got a big old power back in Rodney Thomas that's 220. I mean, look, that's serious stuff. And then you've got other running backs, Starius, Davenport, Javion Granger. So they can rotate 4 running backs, legit running backs at any time that run 4-5. And then they got a big old receiver named Jaquez Haney who can really fly. I think he's a D1 player. And on defense, they're led by Chauncey Malone and Andrea Stevens and Kadarius Carson and Javion Granger will go both ways, both sides of the ball. And I think the defensive backfield and the linebacking core will be led by Zoltan Lewis. He's 6'2", about 215. He has a lot of talent. They're replacing 6 DBs that played a lot, which is hard to do in this league when you got to go against Parkway again and Byrd and Benton and Haughton and Airline and Naketa Central. But this could be a tough year again, but the future's bright with Dean Smith. The talent's there. Once you start winning, they'll get more talent out, right? If you're in the program and you're listening to this and you go to Southwood, I'd be fired up playing for Dean Smith. You know, it's contagious, his energy. He's a great coach. He's gonna bring this program to another level. I hope everybody enjoyed my preview of District 1 Class 5A, North Louisiana, of all our teams. I can't talk about every kid. It's impossible when you're doing a 30-minute podcast or 32 minutes like today. But again, I hate sounding like a broken record or a commercial. Truly go to our website and get a magazine. Our preview has more stuff. I can't talk about everything in the magazine because it's too much. We put too much in there. And if you have a kid who's a sophomore or a freshman that's going to be a junior or going to be a sophomore, and they're not in the magazine, they will be one day. And some of them are in the magazine, but a lot of these programs don't start sophomores and freshmen. So it's mostly junior, seniors, and some sophomores on special teams. This is going to be a tough district. You know, I know most parents want me to say, who's going to win the district? It's really hard to do that because then, you know, there's really 3 teams that can. And this is something that I want to make everybody happy and proud from this area of the state. Shreveport, Bossier, Natchitoches. There are 4 teams in this district that can win a state title this year. And I'm not blowing smoke. So for me to say, oh, it's Byrd, you know, then that would really be unfair to Haughton and Airline, Parkway, potentially Captain Shreve. I mean, that's 5 teams. And then you maybe have a playoff team in Naketa Central. They can fight their way to get a playoff spot because they're going to play some really highly ranked teams. But this is a very competitive district every year. And look, I hope my South Louisiana listeners really learned a little bit today because, you know, you hear about a lot of the other districts in Monroe and New Orleans and Lafayette and Baton Rouge. And look, they're all good district teams, but this is the one that nobody really talks about. District 1. You know, you hear about teams in South Louisiana, but I actually go up and watch these games, and I think parents appreciate that. I think they appreciate that I live in Baton Rouge, and for the past 15 years, I've been going to several games a year. I can honestly say, in a crazy way, I've been seeing 25 to 30 teams a year play in person from the Shreveport-Bossier area. Every year for the last 15, and for the last 25 years, I've been going at least a couple of games a year in Shreveport-Bossier. So I have an appreciation of the talent, and that's how I have the talent. And a lot of these guys I mentioned, you don't see them on any of these websites because, you know, they're not ranked high at camps. But it's not about the camps only. It's about who's a football player. And you go to games like me, and you see and you find football players, and then you know how to write about them. You know how to get them out there in the magazine. That helps because people see it, and they go, wow, we need to start recruiting this kid, or we need to go evaluate this kid because we might have saw it in Lieber Keen's magazine. But I hope, again, you enjoyed the show, and it's going to be an incredible year in District 1. I wish all the parents good luck. I'm glad we're having football. Everybody stay strong. I think it's going to be a great year statewide. And look, something told me, let me just pick a district and have some fun. And look, people write in and tell me about it. Tell me how you liked it. We're testing what works, what doesn't work. And what do our fans want? What do our parents want? What do our coaches want to hear? But let me know, because this is off the top of my head, most of this stuff. But just let me know what you like. Please email me. I truly mean that. Email me at lbrakeen@aol.com. Email the information at LA Football Magazine, our website. Let us know how you like the podcast. We'd love to hear from you. We'll see you really, really soon. Everybody have a great, great weekend. We'll see you Monday.
Thanks for listening to the Sports Scouting Report podcast with Lee Brakeen.